Hey guys, welcome to today's lesson on the Renaissance and Reformation, and our continuing look at this. Now, again, I keep going over this over and over, but I have to say it. Okay, the Renaissance, rebirth, rethinking, and looking at society differently. And again, I can't stress this enough. And making it real for you guys. It's being a teenager and realizing maybe I don't want to live exactly the way I've been brought up, and everybody goes through that. So Reformation, Renaissance. Well, the Renaissance was, I'm going to rethink things in society. Maybe we can make things better. Maybe I'm just going to, do something a little different. A Reformation, as we saw in the third lesson, the Reformation is saying the church is something that maybe we need to change. Well, the two are going to butt heads in the 1500s. And this is King Henry VIII. I'll get to him in a minute. And again, guys, look at the portrait. What does King Henry want you to know about him? And he had this painted of himself. And so what does he want you to know? How is he looking? Again, if you study really study and see that, what is he trying to portray? And I'll show you another painting here in a second of him. Theocracy, government. And if you're going, theocracy, theory. Can you kind of see theory in this word? Theocracy is kind of religion. So if I would say, if you told me you were Christian, and I might say, well, what Christian are you? What sect of Christianity? Are you Lutheran? Are you Baptist? Are you Catholic? Are you Jehovah's Witness? What are you? And that goes to theocracy, to theory of how you believe what you believe. Notice this is theocracy, government. Now, the reason I have King Henry here, well, King Henry is going to decide to merge religion and government together, and you'll see why in a second. So this is an interesting twist on the Reformation. So as Europe was, remember Europe is a continent, as Europe was thinking of changing religion and changing the way religious practices were held, well, now the monarchs got involved in it, and they saw power. They saw a possible power trip going on. So who the heck is this King Henry guy, and what's he doing? Well, in 1527, King Henry VIII, I'll get to the Brady Bunch over here in a minute. Concentrate on this one right now. This again, how do you think he wants to be remembered? I mean, come on. Would one of you guys like to deliver a drink to me this way? If I ask you to go fill up my water bottle, can you guys? Maybe I'll have you guys start actually presenting it to me like this. I think that might be a good idea. Now, so if you're saying, wow, King Henry thinks a lot of himself, he sure does. So what happens? Well, in 1527, King Henry, he had several wives, and he had been married at that point in 1527 to his wife for 18 years. I'm not even going to tell you her name, okay? That, to me, that's not the important thing here. He had been married for 18 years to his current wife in 1527. She had only produced one daughter. He wanted a son. He wanted a son to take over as the King of England when he was gone. So he went to the church, the Roman Catholic Church, the Pope, who was the head of the church, still is. Now, again, guys, I'm not bashing the Catholic Church. Things have changed since 1527. Back then, the Pope was all powerful. He had power over a lot of things. So he went to the Pope and he said, annul my marriage. Annul means, and we can do that today. Annul is a legal divorce. You could almost look at it. Say that I'm no longer married. And the Pope basically said, why? And he goes, well, I need a son, and she hasn't produced a son in 18 years. She's only produced a daughter. So I want a son. So I need you to annul my marriage so I can marry somebody else. And the Pope said, no. He said, that's not a good enough reason. No. And so what King Henry does, he splits from the Roman Catholic Church. He basically says, fine, then I'm done with the church. I'm going to start the Church of England. And we have our own church now. It's the Church of England. And guess who's in charge of the Church of England? King Henry VIII. So now he can make the rules for the church. So he's still Christian, but now he's going to make all the rules. And of course, here comes on the right this Brady Bunch of women that he marries. He was known for this. Basically, I'm going to marry you. You better give me a son. If you don't, I'll divorce you. I'll kill you. I'll do whatever until I find somebody who can give me a son. King Henry VIII is one of a kind. So that's what he does. He merges. He basically takes a power trip, and he said, okay, well, we're done with the Roman Catholic Church. We now have the Church of England, and the Church of England is going to be headed by myself. And so that's, again, and this might give ideas to other monarchs that are in Europe. They might go, hey, that's not a bad idea. So what the Catholic Church does in response to this is they have their own Reformation. And again, remember, reform. That's reform is the key word there. And they said, okay, we're gonna have our own Reformation. And the Pope said we have to pull people back in and tell them why it's good to be part of our church, since everybody seems to be talking about what's bad. One of the things that King Henry did, I'll go back to him here. King Henry started closing all monasteries, all Catholic monasteries in England. He started literally getting rid of the Catholic Church. And so the Catholic Reformation is going to try to pull back a little bit and say, okay, we need to kind of pull in, and we need to pull in ranks and make our church strong again. And so in 1545, they had something called the Council of Trent. And the Council of Trent went on for a couple of decades. Okay, this was like an ongoing meeting of what can we do? You can see the meeting here. What can we do to make the Catholic Church stronger? And one of the things they did was they did something called the Inquisition. If you've ever heard of that before, the Inquisition was basically out there looking for people that were bashing the Catholic Church, Catholics that were bashing the Catholic Church. And the thought of the Inquisition is, well, we are going to put you, it's like a trial. We're going to put you on trial, so to speak, in the Catholic Church, and we might excommunicate you. We might remove you. Now, if you might say, well, big deal. That's a big deal. Back then, if you got excommunicated, the thought was you're not going to heaven. And so, and again, things change, okay, 1545, but they start this Spanish Inquisition. They even started a group called the Society of Jesus. Nowadays, they're called Jesuits. That's another sect of Christianity. And what they were supposed to do was basically head up the Inquisition to investigate people that might be talking or doing things that are against the teachings of the Catholic Church. So they're clamping down is what they're doing. And saying that, while these other areas, the Lutherans with Martin Luther, King Henry VIII in England, while they're breaking away, we're going to make sure that we remind people of what the Catholic Church is all about. And so that's kind of what comes out of the Council of Trent. And so really what happens, and you can see the Council of Trent here once again, and then the harmony here, it was really Catholics became more unified in Europe, and they became stronger in that, yes, we believe in our religion. And while these other groups are breaking away, we're even more unified than we were before, and surrounded by the teachings of the Catholic Church. And now here's the beginning of what I say, and guys, maybe this happened to you. If you want to get into a fight with somebody or an argument, start talking religion with them. And if they may not even go to church, but they have beliefs, and then all of a sudden, if your beliefs are different, watch how quickly you could get into an argument with somebody over religion, over what you believe. And this is when that kind of starts. And so Catholics, they were saying, what we believe is what should be followed. And so they became more unified, became stronger as a group, coming out of the Catholic Reformation. So the new denominations that are coming out, well, we just mentioned Lutherans. We just mentioned Jesuits that will eventually come out. We have the Church of England, which eventually the Church of England, if you want to talk about the history of the United States, the pilgrims that come over, the Plymouth Rock, the pilgrims, Mayflower, that's all going to come out of the Church of England. And so Puritans, so a lot of different religions are going to start popping up. And these religions will butt heads. And now today, I like to think that we're better now. And we tolerate each other's differences with religions. But I can tell you, in my own lifetime, I have talked to people about religions that aren't the denomination that I follow. And now I don't care if you have something different that you believe in. That's up to you. But I've met people that literally say that I'm wrong, that my thought process is wrong, and they are right, I am wrong, and they're going to heaven, and I am not. And welcome to that part of society coming out of the Reformation and the Renaissance. And that's hopefully this is making sense. We have a lot of different churches in Tiffin, and it's not necessarily, a lot of different churches wherever you live. And it's not necessarily, bad. It's that today's world, we get along. And for the most part, there's not a problem. But back then, this is something totally different. So new schools will start being developed around whatever religion you are. So that really the first schools were teaching the Bible and teaching your religion, your sect of religion. And so if I formed the Edmund religion during this time period, then you would want to be taught from, if you go to my church, then we're going to start a school and we're going to teach you the Bible the way we teach it. And so that's really where the first schools came from. And of course, the printing press with the Renaissance made all of this possible. So here's what you got. By the time you get to about 1600, this is, and really all you have to do is just look at it, and hopefully you can see it. The breakdown of religions, and Catholic, Lutheran, Calvinist, Anglican, Anabaptists. Anabaptists, if you're wondering what are Anabaptists, that was a sect of Christianity that thought you don't baptize babies, you baptize adults, because adults actually understand what's going on and a baby has no idea. And so there's even a sect of the religion coming out of that train of thought. So this is all the different religions that start spreading around Europe by the time we get to the tail end of the Renaissance and the Reformation. So again, if you look around, if you've talked to friends of yours before and religion comes into the conversation, if you talk to somebody who has a strong religious belief and it's one that they strongly believe in, that they have it figured out, that's a lot of times what leads to maybe problems, maybe issues, hopefully not an argument in today's world, but hopefully you can see here with all these different religions around Europe, guess how long it's going to take before you start having holy wars and wars over we are going to heaven, you are not, and how many different denominations, different sects of religion will you have that will cause that issue. So this is what comes out of the Reformation. The original Reformation was against the Catholic Church, and then the Catholic Church had their own Reformation. Welcome to the Renaissance and Reformation in Europe during this time period. Talk to you soon.